Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy SCGRANT here, and this is it. This is the latter half of my overall, pretty much how you say review slash big video regarding Helluva Boss season 2 and what are my personal thoughts about it on the season as a whole. I never thought that we would finally get to this because this was definitely something that has been in the back burner for so long. But if you have not seen part 1 when I covered the circus, seeing stars, X's and O's, Western energy, unhappy campers, and oops, I recommend you go check out part 1 before coming to this video because boy, there's a lot to unpack in this part, which I dubbed Act 2 at Hell's End. Because we are reaching the end, and as per usual, we got the level heat level system back. As per usual, if the heat's higher, the greater the episode. So let me give you the 4 set reps on this one. These last 6 episodes is going to be a lot to take out of me because personally I never thought that I would eventually get to the big heavy hitters in this one. And yes, let's just say that most of these 6 episodes are going to be heavy hitters and mostly average. But once again, I'm going to speculate that this is going to be a tough challenge to do because once you reach the latter half, that's when things get really interesting, and basically it'll be a tough challenge to try to figure out which one is the best. But that's pretty much all I have to say personally. So without further ado, as yours truly is about to tackle each episode, and as per usual, they get 3 minutes each to me personally. So remember, all this is in my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. So without further ado, let us jump us in to episode 7 overall. And here we go. We are actually here with episode 7, titled Mammon's Magnificent Musical Mid-Season Special. And yes, this is the only episode in season 2 to have the longest name for a title of an episode. And let's just say this is considered the part 2 of the Fizzarolli arc, since episode 6 was the first half. And I can say right now, the heat level stayed at heat level 4. That's right, this is definitely another heavy hitter. We got a back-to-back set of heavy hitters on this one because this one actually tackles Fizzarolli as a whole, and we finally got some sort of payoff, knowing the fact that one of his dreams was to basically work for Madman as pretty much to reach that famous status. But once again, with that status comes its feats, because once again, showbiz can be cruel. And especially for Fizz on this one, because once again, after what happened after Circus, the whole accident thing, and the fact that pretty much Fizz lost all of his limbs, including his horns and everything, he had to get robotic implants courtesy of Ozzy, and thus he reached the celebrity status and got the new look he got now. But once again, with this one, Ozzy is very concerned about Fizz with the upcoming pageant, so he had to get Blitzen to back him up. And once again, hijinks ensues. And most notably, there's even a nod to the Helluva Boss fandom when there's people that go too critical. But let's just say Blitz took care of that if you have watched the episode. But the biggest highlight of this episode and the heavy hitter was the relationship between Ozzy and Fizzarolli. The whole episode itself just screams, yep, this was the Fizzarolli saga that finally got some sort of payoff. That includes the fact that Ozzy and Fizzarolli have been together for a long time, and it makes sense that the whole audience knew about it. Like, they shipped them hard. Like, it was even a nod to the fandom itself. They shipped them so hard, it was implemented into the episode. But here's the funny thing. Mammoth was too stupid to realize that they were even a thing. But he did tell Ozzy that this will come back to bite them. Another highlight was that Ozzy and Mammoth were about to go at it in their demon forms. Like, we're about to see a real fight, but no, because Fizzarolli, after all that he's been through, decided he was finally gonna cut it quits. Oh, and a little nod to the deaf kid, who basically only communicates through sign language. That's a little nice little touch and detail for Fizzarolli to basically, have a conversation, have a little bit of an interaction with said sign language. That's a little good, So remember, this episode has a heat level 4, and once again, this latter half has coming out strong for this video. And I'm hoping that we're gonna get another heavy hitter regarding pretty much as we move forward into with the latter half of these episodes moving forward. So yeah, the mid-season special, definitely a heat level 4 and recommended. Go watch it. And what did I say about that heavy hitter? Well, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. Episode 8, Full Moon, did feel like it was leading up to something big, but to me personally, it felt like it was meant to be 3 episodes crammed into one big one, as in, but not in a good way, because it felt like there was just meant to be some sort of elements that were meant for other possibly future episodes, but because of the production of the season as a whole, they decided to team up the dorks with the cherubs. Like, we got in some season 1 quote adversaries teaming up to try to get them one up on the imps in this episode, while Blitz is preparing for his usual night with Stolas. So why not have the dorks, agents 1 and 2, open a portal of hell so the cherubs can get back at the imps, only to find out that pretty much Moxie, Billy, and Luna were waiting for them. And yes, if you haven't figured it out throughout the season so far, Luna has only been involved with half the season, so it was nice to see her finally tagging along with Moxie and Billy to get back at the cherubs. But to me personally, this episode felt like so much was going on, because I was waiting for the Stolans Blitz mullets. So I decided that this episode was getting a heat level of 2. Not to say it was bad, but I feel like it felt like there were it was like 3 episode scripts that had to be condensed down into one big one. And yeah, it was a lot going on. Like I said, the highlights was the fight sequences between the cherubs and the imps, along with plus Luna, and the fact that Blitz was oblivious to the whole thing. Also, it was nice to see Fitzgerald got a cameo after his, leaving the mammoth business. He finally left that whole thing behind and decided to work exclusively with Ozzy. So yeah, that's a good development for him. But the biggest highlight of it all was how it all ended. It turns out that the Grimoire is no longer needed, because back in episode 6, pretty much Ozzy gave Stolas an ammonious crystal, which could allow for succubi to travel the world. And basically that same crystal is now given to Blitz, meaning that Blitz has to answer to Ozzy when he comes to doing his business and traveling to the mortal realm to perform his jobs. And things started escalating when, Stolas wanted more than what their usual transactions, unquote. But Blitz thought that it was just some sort of act, but no, this is actually genuine. It felt like they were not going to get ending of this relationship, because they saw what Fizzy and Ollie had, it never gets explained that. But to me personally, so much was going on in this episode that I have to personally give it a heat level of 2. But I'm hoping that this will be the last time I will ever give an episode like this that kind of heat level. But without further ado, onward to the next episode. And thus we come to episode 9, that picked up right where the last episode left off, and I can say for certain that this episode's heat level has been raised to a 3. Now, what are the highlights of this one? Well, Stolas just pointed out the whole obvious. When did I ever look down on you? Yes, Stolas never looked down on Blitz. They've been friends since childhood. They reunited by the time they were adults. And this is how you do my bird boy like this, Blitz, man. To the point that Blitz, Stolas himself got invited to a party that, yep, it was done by Verostica, and it turns out it was the fact that Blitz has broken yet another heart. And it wasn't just Stolas and Verostica alone. Many people were affected by Blitz's behavior, and it does have its repercussions, to the point that Blitz went on an apology rampage and tried to right the wrongs of everyone. I was like, are you serious, man? This episode felt like a trip down memory lane to certain points in the past, including past episodes. Hell, one of my best highlights was that Martha, who pretty much Moxie shot back in episode 1 of the show itself, shows up in this episode. And what's the irony is that Miss Mayberry from the episode 1 too, who actually put a head on her, is living together. That's just crazy. But the big thing all comes ahead at the party itself. We got to see Verostica and everybody that Blitz wrong in the past, and even Stolas got involved, man. Once again, all Stolas ever wanted was to feel loved. That's all he wanted. It doesn't want to be lust. It can never be that way. It's wrong. People, you can see the episode yourself. People did not want this, and they're all hate. It was pretty much the I hate Blitz party. Blitz himself even even clap back and saying, why do I have to be the bad guy? Well, it's obviously your actions have consequences, and this is all coming from Veronica. Even she had her own flaws in the fact that she ever loved someone like Blitz to ever do something like that, including jacking up credit cards, horse riding lessons, and stealing cars and stealing her cars. So pretty much, Blitz had to come to terms with it. He said that yes, and it came, and you can see from his face the moment that she went ham and cheese on him, man. She told him, and I quote, "The fact is that everything you do will come back to bite him." Like, that's just how I feel about it, to the point that he just felt miserable. He did not want to be this way anymore. He knew that, once again, even if you're a hellspawn, you still have to suffer for the consequences of your actions. To the point that he had to stick it to the part. He had to stick it to the part just to get the stolen on this one. But to me, yeah, this episode was a 3, and definitely a step up from Full Moon, and that's what it should have been, like, because this felt like a part 2. It's similar to the whole Fizzle story. This is pretty much like the stolen shipping arc, to try to get that out of the way, and that's all I have to say about Apology Tour as a whole. On to next. And on to this episode. Yep, this episode has pretty much been raised to a heat level of 4. Because, well, let's just say Apology Tour has pretty much finally clapped back at Blitz, to the point that he's now coping, ended up using Moxie Blue's pension fund to buy horse-plated taxidermy owls, to the point that Luna had to burn it all, while it's down bad. Blitz is down bad in this episode. He's down bad, to the point that he's eating ice cream and watching soap operas. Oh my god, man. So, yeah, but we have a client coming in here and telling about that the entire hotel has been haunted, people getting clocked off, and to the point that the ghosts with ghosts, like, because even Luna said ghosts aren't real, like how does that work in the Helluverse about the whole ghost thing? But we do know from the title card that it wasn't a ghost, it was actually an envy demon who is voiced by a very famous comedian. If you know who that is, then you definitely been on the rock. But this episode is actually focusing on Millie and Blitz as a whole, because for many, ever since the show started, people have been asking, were we ever going to get the official Millie episode? To me, that's essentially always been the case. Like, Millie's always been there. Millie was one of the characters that, apart from maybe like one of my favorite cartoon characters, was the only character that did not have a tragic backstory. Well, tragic is another word. It's more of a uprising, as in Millie was an assassin for hire back in the day, and people were even saying that based on her look back in her past life, she felt like she was older. No, it was due to stress. It had to be stress, because we know that in the Helluverse, Moxie and Millie are actually in their mid to late 20s, while Luna is starting out in her early 20s, and Blitz is in his early 30s, so we do know that. But for this episode, this was actually tackling the Blitz's insecurities, knowing the fact his mother's death really impacted everybody. It made him go on these years worth of pretty much how he is now. It's because he pushes everyone away. If explained back in Apology to all those he wronged in the past, it comes back to bite him, to the point that Millie had to beat the ever-living crap out of him to get the MVDB out of him, because Blitz did get possessed at one point. And there was even at a point that there were older scenarios in which, in past episodes, Millie could have died in some of those past jobs. And you can see in the reflection of her designs, if she, her quote, deaths, it's all in Blitz's mind. Blitz has been mind fucked by Ronaldo of all demons, and that's literally his name. A demon that has been haunting the hotel, killing humans, and now the fact that one of the humans becomes to be a client, pretty much Blitz and Moxie. Oh, also, really, Ghost Evers was essentially like a thing, because they actually got the voice of Charlie to actually voice the girl for the TV. That's just crazy. So yeah, this episode, go watch it. This is definitely a heat level 4 for me, and well, let's just say that this episode, well, it has finally reached the max level heat of 5, because all hands are on deck. No more stalling, no more backstory. We finally got the full picture here. It turns out all of Blitz's action that led to this moment since the show started has finally come back to bite him. All because Stella knew about the affair that Stolas had with Blitz, and the grimoire that she never told her brother. When he found out about this, he was not happy about this, so he had to get the Hell Police on pretty much IMP as a whole. It got crazy, bro. Minus the car getting wrecked, not only once but twice. If you saw episode episode 10, Blitz pretty much just wrecked the goddamn man, like, on numerous occasions. But this time, nope. They got dragged off into a kangaroo court on this one, man. And let's just say that Satan himself finally pulled up. And basically, he laid down the hammer on them. The fact that they basically used the grimoire to ask them around without authorization. Yep, it was bad. This was not looking good for the team. But it wasn't until Stolas found out that Blitz was going to get executed. Yep, Blitz was the one who was behind it all. And once again, we knew that Hell's hierarchy. Everybody was looking down on him. Always has been. Blitz always wanted it was to step it up for Bernard. Was to step it up into the business of basically being nothing more than a lower level demon. But once again, Satan realizes the fact that yes, imps always been the muscle. They always had the ability to do their jobs. But once again, once Blitz was about to get his head chopped up, Stolas finally had to intervene and stop it. Because once again, Stolas bailed out Blitz. They bailed each other out on numerous occasions. But for this, Stolas had to be the one to bail him out. Because once again, it was Stolas who landed him the book. And the fact is that in the end, Andreas thought he got what he wanted, but no. Stolas' sentence for pretty much portraying the Goetia and pretty much all of Hell's hierarchy, he only gets 100 years of not having status and power. So that's just how it is. This episode was a heat level 5. The stakes were raised. The crew nearly got their heads chopped off. But here's what really the biggest highlight. Because that it was all broadcasted, Blitz had spilled the beans and had his say in the matter. He basically became famous now. That's just crazy. But this come at the cost of Stolas losing everything. But what about Octavia? Well, I can tell you one thing though. This all leads up to the very end of season 2 as a whole. And we're down to the final episode because for me, Mastermind was definitely a heat level 5 because it's just how it is. It's the maximum level overall. So without further ado, and thus we've come to the very end of season 2, titled Sinnsmith, the long-awaited finale of Helluva Boss. Well, mostly for this season, that is. But yeah, the stakes have been raised, but not to what you think. Because of the very last episode, I decided to drop this heat level down to a 4 on this one. No, there are nothing wrong with this episode, but we're gonna get to the reasons why it's a 4. It was the fact that this episode is essentially a follow-up to Mastermind. Because Stolas lost his status and power, it makes sense that pretty much it was time for him to, well, pretty much it's not just Stolas, but all of IMP was to get their get back at Andreas. We know that there was a possible chance he may have conspired to try to gain that status and power. But once again, it's down to his daughter Octavia. If you have not figured out throughout this review, Octavia only had a major role in 2 episodes. That was Seeing Stars, which I gave that one a heat level 2, and this episode in which the stakes have been raised to a 4, not a 5. And the fact is that, well, Stolas had to live with the consequences of his actions for letting the grimoire to 3 imps and a hellhound. So yes, if you have not seen the episode, but the biggest highlight was the fact is that yes, Blitz and Stolas have always bailed each other out of very critical situations. But it makes sense. Stolas has always been a shipping that's been favored among the fandom. But to see it on full display shows that pretty much, however, it came with the biggest consequences. Octavia found out about the pills. Yes, was Stolas faking his happiness? Well, that is debatable on this one. But the biggest thing is that pretty much, yep, the fight with sequences is there, but another shocking factor. Yes, this episode has some surprise reveals, and all I can say right now is that, oh boy, let's just hope season 3 very much to give us these, quote, surprises of satisfying payoff, because there are a lot of questions to ask about this episode. But to me personally, what was pretty much how it was going to end was that Octavia and Stolas was going to have some sort of falling out, because there's a chance we may never see her again, but we don't know. We do have seasons 3 and 4 to finally look forward to see if we get some sort of conclusion to those stories, if how is Octavia and Stolas get back on it. But at least we had a very nice Sinnsmith with Stolas and was finally, not only living together, but finally putting everything behind him now, and I'm looking forward to season 3 of Helluva Boss with Fire Tackle and things, including some brand new shorts. We'll just have to wait for more information from Spindle Horse and Busy Pop herself about what's to come from Helluva Boss as a whole. So yeah, either before, first sentiments. And with that, we have come to the very end of the video, or should I say the entirety of my Helluva Boss Season 2 overall review as a whole, as I reviewed each episode. It took a lot out of me, but I finally got all these videos done. But without further ado, I would like to thank you all for pretty much waiting patiently for these two specific videos to come out, because it took a lot out of me to finally do the unthinkable, because I never thought I would have to do a video that succeeds over 20 minutes as a whole. But that's all I have for now about Helluva Boss Season 2, and looking forward to what's to come of this show in the near future, and from Spindle Horse and Busy Pop herself. Anyway, it's your boy SCGRANT, and I'll see you all in the very next video. Take care now.